We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる。
Well, hugely eventful last over. Balls flying, bats flying, run outs, no balls, a six to finish. Comedy of errors that sees CSK eventually get 188 for 9. Is that going to be enough? 195 was not enough for Punjab just last night at the Wankhede, but there was plenty that happened in that innings. 9 wickets fell as well. So we look back at it all on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel, in the company of Ajit Agarkar and Dale Steyn, who just before we went live was enjoying what he was watching in that last over. One of the more comical overs in T20 cricket that you'll find, Dale.
That was hilarious. Firstly, that fielding in the beginning was actually pretty amazing. Like the first to take off and then get to mid wicket and then get the throw in. It takes a lot of energy, and precision to do what he did there. So that was pretty cool. And then what followed was just some pretty funny stuff. The bat flying up in the air, a non-striker running, a six. I just knew that a six was going to be hit. I just absolutely knew it. Bravo dropping his bat. Yeah. Anyway, very funny last over.
It meant a 15-run over, which still takes CSK close to 190, 188. What kind of score is that, Ajit? Until I get a solid enough connection to Ajit Agarkar in a minute. But Dale, let me put the same question to you. 188 though, after all of that to get to 188, is that enough?
I don't even know what's enough these days. That's the thing. I think, 200 would have been nice. 190 is probably a pass score from what we've seen in the last couple games there. Scores have gone up. But it's going to be tough, bowling second, the due factor that comes in, chasing there. So it's going to be, Chennai's going to have their wits against them with the ball when they bowl well. They're going to have to bowl well, is what I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Yeah. They were 120 for 3 at one stage at the end of 13 overs. You think you've given yourselves a great chance to get a 200. Ajit's back with us. Ajit, I hope you got me loud and clear. 120 for 3 at one stage, eventually for ending at 188. Chennai be disappointed?
I think so. I mean, particularly when you're playing so many batsmen or so many people who can bat or contribute. Raidu and Raina, you could see that point tried to go hard. I mean, the highest score today is 33 from Faf du Plessis. So it's not. I mean, they've got to a score. It's certainly not. It's perhaps just par, maybe below par for this ground and this pitch. So they'll have to bowl really well. I think they'll be disappointed. I think the batting wasn't great towards the end of that innings. I mean, MS and Jadeja struggled to get a move on. Sam Curran, who's been in the form of his life recently, for some reason batted at number 8, which was a bit strange. And thanks to Bravo's 20 of 8, I think it was a little cameo that they've at least got closer to that 190. So there is something to bowl at, but I think they are below par.
All right, let's address that first. It's a good talking point to start off with. After the start that they did have, when they did lose that 5th wicket, was that the perfect occasion for Sam Curran to come in? Were you surprised that MS walked in ahead of him, Ajit?
I mean, I don't know. MS has walked in at number 7, so I don't know how much further down he can bat. I was a bit surprised that Jadeja walked in at 6. Again, I suppose MS has not had any cricket since that last IPL, and he struggled in the last IPL. And when you're aging, it all obviously becomes more and more difficult. He found that today again. So you don't quite know whether his role has almost evolved to being the mentor of this team and just captain the team more than as a batsman. But he still came in at number 7. I just felt that Sam Curran, being the form that he is, could have been utilized higher up. Certainly in place of Ravindra Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja has been an improved batsman in recent times, but Sam Curran's in really good form. So they perhaps missed a trick there.
Yeah, that's the one. Forget everything around you, Dale. When you've got a player who's coming into this tournament with form, with the bat at international level, it feels like Sam Curran's a bit of a waste at number 8.
Yeah, you've got to get him up higher. I think we've said it games ago already with Sam Curran. We want to see him bat higher up the order. You can just see that Jadeja and Dhoni they're just not themselves right now. When they're trying to hit the ball, I don't know much about batting, but I have played long enough to know that when you see guys are struggling, they're struggling. Their head is up in the air. They're really trying to muscle the ball. Their eyes are not focused on the ball. And then Curran comes in, he gets his first ball, and he just, without bothering, he just clears the boundary over extra cover for 6, and it just shows that the guy is in a lot of form, and you need to use those guys. If they're in form, get them in early, let them bat, But I guess today, Dhoni saw an opportunity where he felt like he could come in a little bit earlier, take some time, and then hoping for the old Dhoni, what we're so used to at the back end, to give himself the opportunity to get his eye in and then get going. But it just didn't happen. Bowlers have been very smart to him. In the past when he's done really well, bowlers have bowled under his eye line, Mr. Yorker, full tosses, and he really gets the ball under the bat, and he gets those sixes and boundaries like that. Bowlers are bowling back of length, changing pace, and not really allowing him to get away with it. So, I think CSK just missed the trick with probably pushing Sam Curran ahead of Jadeja and then just shifting further on like that. It might come back to bite them.
It's interesting that you both agree on that. So perhaps it's a conversation of what is Dhoni identifying as his own role, especially if CSK are batting first. And Ajit, you made the point. If Curran does bat even before Jadeja, then Jadeja comes in, Dhoni's batting 8. Now, is this a year for Dhoni to look at himself and say, it's okay if he doesn't get much of a bat. It's okay if he plays almost as a specialist captain wicketkeeper, because there are other guys that can be more impactful with the bat.
Yeah, it looks that way. I mean, it's so early in the tournament, and like I said, he doesn't have any cricket between IPLs, which makes it even harder as you age. And you no matter what, you can see the guys who are scoring runs in the IPL have come in some sort of form. Whether they've scored in domestic cricket or whether they've scored for their respective countries. So playing cricket or competitive cricket, there is no substitute for that. So maybe that's the way he's looking at it. I think over the next 2 or 3 games, we'll probably find out a bit more, because he's certainly not stepped out to bat at number 5, which I thought that's what he'd do. I mean, Moeen Ali's been a real positive for them at number 3. Raina again seems to be struggling since I got that 50 in that first game, but since bowlers have gone a bit short to him, seems to be a little bit unsure. But certainly with MS, maybe that's the way he looks at his role, being captaining the team, being mentor of the team, and wicket keeping more than batting. But it's too early in the tournament. I think in the next 2 or 3 games might tell us a bit more, because to walk in at number 7, I mean, for MS Dhoni to walk in at number 7 when the situation is sort of tailor-made and he's done it so many times over his career, was a bit strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's getting close to 40. He's going to be 40 in July this year, and there's no shame to not being able to do at 40 what you could do at 30, Dale. But could the striking the balance between reputation and pragmatism be a challenge for IPL? It's not just Dhoni in general, but can you tell yourself, if you're Dhoni, I can't be batting at 8. I have to be batting higher.
Yeah, I think only he knows, only he knows how well he's batting or how well he feels. I know certainly that if I was playing against MS Dhoni the night before I was playing against him, I would still be sitting there and taking it extremely seriously that I'm coming up against MS Dhoni tomorrow. So from a fear factor, he still has a massive role to play. And what happens is that wherever he's going to bat in that lineup, captains are going to be rearranging their bowlers to kind of use against the Dhoni. They know that if he's going to come in the last 3 overs, they're going to have to change their lineup and whatnot. So he still has that fear factor. But it really is up to him to see how he wants to go about this season. We're seeing him bat at 7. It is extremely low. I thought in the start of the season, I think there was a poll put out as to where we thought he would bat. I thought he would be batting 5. I thought maybe this might be one of his last IPLs. He'd want to bat higher up the order and go out with an absolute bang. But we see him pushing himself down the order. So I don't quite know what's going to happen, but it is early doors in the IPL. So we'll let it unfold and see how it goes.
Yeah, what they've done interestingly, Ajit, is they've got the same sort of conundrum almost right at the top of the order, where they've pushed Raina to 4 because they want the power game of Moeen Ali at 3, and that seems to have worked really well. All right, still waiting on, I think, Ajit. Ajit, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I said what you made the point. What they've also managed to do is they have a similar conundrum in the top 3 or 4, and they managed to solve that by pushing Moeen Ali to 3 and Raina to 4. Perhaps something similar needed, because that clearly seems to be working.
Yeah, I mean, I was of the opinion that Raina should bat number 3, but after the way Moeen's batted, and after the way Raina's looked in the last couple of games now, I think it's better off that Moeen does bat at number 3. Raina comes in where there's more spin on offer, where he's so good against, and that might work for them. I mean,
Okay,
sort of
yeah.
putting
I
in
think
match-winning
I'm
performances,
struggling
whether
to
it's
hear you.
Jadeja, Raina, those guys. That will take a load of what MS Dhoni is doing
Right,
because clearly
I'm going to try and get
probably unsure of where he wants.
join again. Yeah, right. It's taking a little time, but that's what happens when Dhoni's team is in action. Dale, the internet traffic seems to go over the roof, even if it is Dhoni in his 40s. Let's spend a little time on Rajasthan's bowling, and I think the more we're seeing of Chetan Sakaria, the more we like of him, Dale.
Yeah, he's very good. He changed his pace, got a lot of skill. For a young man, he's come and he's bowled in the gutsy periods. To get Dhoni today, he's bowled in some difficult periods, and he's shown that he's up for the challenge and he's up for that occasion. Been very impressed with him so far. And actually, the whole bowling lineup today, they did their part. Bar one or two periods in the game, not cut. He came against Faf and one over there where Faf really had it over him. Couple laps, probably just lacking the pace. Not a lot of bowlers can bother somebody like Faf with pace. He handles pace really well. But if you're only operating at the 125, 130, he's going to get down on that knee. He's going to play those shots. And some of those ones where he hit cut back over his head, I mean, you just got to literally go back to your mark and just clap and say, well played. So he had one of those days. But overall, I think Samson rallied his bowlers really well. And they'll be comfortable enough that they could chase this down.
Chetan Sakaria, Ajit, just discussing him, 3 wickets today again, and Samson now looks like he wants to give him some tough overs too. Like what you're seeing of him?
Yeah, really, really impressed with what he's done throughout these few games. Again, bowls with the new ball, comes in towards the end of the innings. We spoke about it at the top before the game. Someone with that little experience, it's not the easiest thing to do. I'm sure the first game calmed his nerves a little bit, but when you're still bowling to MS Dhoni, he might not be the same MS Dhoni that used to be, but you're still bowling to MS Dhoni. I'm sure you got a few butterflies in your stomach. You could see how excited he was to get MS Dhoni out, and he's been really impressive. I think he's bowled well, and you can see the trust that Sanju Samson now has in him to give him the important overs.
All right. Now, Dhoni has said of this pitch that it was tacky in the past. Yesterday, we saw 190 chase comfortably by Delhi and Shikhar Dhawan. Ajit, is this striking you as more on the tacky side or more traditional Wankhede where batting should be fun in the second innings?
Yeah, looks a really good pitch. I think that's why Chennai would be a little bit disappointed because they had put themselves in a position where they could have gotten over 200. Those 10, 15 runs. I mean, KL Rahul yesterday said there was a lot of dew where, at one point they thought 180, 90 would be enough. And so you've got to have a little bit more insurance. If that dew does come in, it does become a lot more difficult for the bowlers. So Chennai I'm not saying they'd be disappointed, but I don't think they'd be happy with 188. There's something to bowl at, but they certainly should have got, because it looks a really good pitch. You could see when the batsman, whoever got the few runs for them, when they hit it, it's still a very good pitch, and there are runs on offer there.
Advantage chasing team for you as well, Dale?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say Rajasthan, a tricky chase. Anything around the 190, 200 is always going to be difficult. But like Ajit said, Chennai will be rearing the fact that they're probably 10 or 15 runs short. And it just happened in that period where Dhoni and Jadeja got together and they just couldn't get the ball away. And luckily for Bravo at the back end and Curran, who played 1 or 2 more shots. And unlucky Curran got out, actually, because you never know what could have happened there. But it just got them to a total that they feel they can bowl to. But they feel like they're probably 10 short, 10 or 15 short.
All right. Before I wrap this up, quick rapid fire where I want a nice one-line response from the two of you. First, on what you think the ideal batting order should have been today. Dale, for Chennai?
I think the top 3 is fine. Rayner coming in at 4 is fine. He can take on those spinners. But Sam Curran coming in at 5 would have been perfect.
Ajit?
Yeah, I mean, the latest Sam Curran should have come today, should have been 6 and followed by MS or Jadeja at that point. I think that might have made a difference to how it eventually ended.
All right. And my second question on the rapid fire is just the observation on Chetan Sakaria and the improvement he's showing as a bowler. Ajit?
Yeah, just, he's been brave. I think those are so difficult overs to bowl at a place like Wankhede. Yes, there was one of the pitches, there was a little bit of help, but he's been impressive. I think the way he's sort of dealt with the pressure has been very impressive.
Dale?
Yeah, I'm very impressed with him too, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun, which I think is why we play this game in the first place. You can see when he gets his wickets, he's smiling, he's enjoying what he's doing, he's enjoying the job that he's been given. So if you're having fun whilst you're playing cricket, that's probably the ultimate win.
All right, brilliant. Well, it's a brilliant story, that of Chetan Sakaria. Let's hope it keeps evolving and improving this IPL. And let's see if Rajasthan can do the job with the bat now. We'll pick up the chat with Ajit and Dale. Thank you very much, gents. We'll speak in 20 overs time. Keep an eye out for the Jude. Had a big role to play in last night's game at the Wankhede Stadium. So we'll discuss it all on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. And the Intel Fastest Fan First contest is very much alive and kicking. So head over to the ESPN Cricket Info Facebook page. Stand to win some goodies if you get a few simple questions right, the answers to a few simple questions right. We'll see you at the end of the game.
We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる